Like everyone else, I am seeing everything that's going on in the news. So recently it started, I guess, with Nigeria. You have Venezuela, you have Iran, you have the ICE agents. This stuff is horrifying and sinister. And then there's the AI aspect of seeing what's going on with Grok and a lot of this inappropriate stuff that has to do with like women and children. And I want to say I'm saying all the same things you are, and I want to speak on how art and spirituality will be the revolution against these sinister agents. Yes, you heard me correctly. Here is why. Oftentimes, we are presented with the truth in a way that's gentle, the tools of the truth that are just gentle. Let's talk about these tools. These tools will look like art, it will look like yoga, it might look like aromatherapy, it might look like the martial arts that's more like Tai Chi. Now, recently I have started martial arts myself because I felt there was a call to do so, and a call to do more balancing strength training acts, both of which are political, knowing how to fight from within. And it's not because you are being trained to be on the offense. It's important to know that the greatest strength is understanding we are all one and that there's no true enemies. And that when it's time to fight, your enemy that's in front of you is just somebody who is very far away from God consciousness and lives in ignorance. And that's when you have to draw your sword. So let's talk about these tools in the gentle. Now let's do the warrior equivalent of them. Okay, why would art be revolutionary? Think about the antithesis of it in society right now with generative AI creating art. What is it robbing you of? A journey. By doing what? Giving you a destination. This is our ego's projection in thinking that God consciousness, because that's what we're chasing, no matter what we're doing, whether it's with gambling, addiction, porn, all the things that you see negatively happening in society, we are all chasing for the sensation of God. And that's why you will see billionaires be extremely extractive, exploitative, and want more and more and more because they are most disconnected from the divine, oftentimes. Because when you're with the divine, you feel it everywhere. It's here. Okay, taking this piece of knowledge, going back to what I was saying about the destination. When you're always being hit with the destination, you know not of the journey. And God, the consciousness of God, what is that? What do we think of? How does God help us when God gives us miracles? Once again, reiterating what is a miracle if not the greatest amount of transformation happening in the shortest amount of time, right? When we are robbed of the ability to have a journey, we are robbed of the ability to transform. When we are robbed of the ability to transform, we remove our sense of God from within. When we remove our sense of God from within, we lose our personal equity or chunk of space time. These ideas might sound super crazy, but until it's too late, you won't see it. And we're in the too late stage. I'm sorry. So what we need to do is understand why we need to have a chunk of space time, because the media does it for us. Okay, like when I think of meeting people like monks, martial artists, very spiritual people now, they talk about what they were up to in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. And I think of the early 2000s as a very different time. I was born in 97. I think of, how pop culture was, which really made me sit down and think like, oh, I think the spiritual awakening, like it's really hitting me now that it's more of a, not because it's a trend, a real awakening is happening, but it's like, it makes you realize how much the media controls what the collective is feeling. Because there's an era of the 90s and the early 2000s, and it's like we're all in this together with the music and the TV shows that are going on, right? And it's all really great until it's not. And you don't know what piece of information you're being shown anymore. I mean, at this point, you could be shown things that are both true and deep fake AI videos to remove your sense of ethos. You wouldn't even be able to trust your own eyes anymore. I mean, that is awful, okay? And I whatever you feel like works best for you, do that. But please understand that the real protest in all of this is going to come from a heart-centered society. For those who have the privilege to act on this behavior, please do it. For those who have the wisdom, please do it. Same thing with martial arts. So I have been studying Tantra and learning about Tantra yoga, and it's restorative. And you typically, and even in the West, the blasphemized version of things like core power, and just like fancy weights and stuff, like you're not really cultivating that type of strength that is as spiritually connected. It's just kind of like looks and vibes. You sweat it enough, whatever. When I began my martial arts journey, we're starting to learn about qigong and the effect it's been having on the consciousness, but it's also to take on, you have the warrior mind, the dragon body, you have the snake, and like the cheetah. You have all these. I'm in a mixed martial arts thing, so you have these different animals, and in a way, the way they behave represents that state of consciousness you can attune yourself to. So this is more of the warrior representation. We have to understand that our consciousness is connected to the collective one. So when you are right with your warrior spirit, in your dragon body, you will be very effective in helping out others. Just because you have seen spiritual people just disappear into the mountains doesn't mean that they're not doing the work. Okay, the truth of it all is that we are in spiritual warfare. Your consciousness is being primed and forced to make you feel exactly what you need to, so that we all reach one breaking point and we participate in a civil war. And in this civil war, we have to think about who is going to get hurt the most in this process. As much as I struggle a lot with the news, I really do. And that's why I'm making this video, I guess, because it's a reminder to others, but mostly to myself, that I'm behaving exactly as they want me to. And it wouldn't be just what they show me on the news, but even knowing about my childhood traumas around SA and all of that, seeing that show up in the content that I'm seeing. It's horrifying, and it's difficult to stay put and stay together. But the people at the top, the deeper agendas, darker agendas, they have that chunk of equity of space time through the media, and they have it by distorting what God is. So it now is broken up into so many subdivisions. You have people externalizing God, you have atheistic people, and then even in spiritual conversations, there's subdivisions. I mean, out the wazoo, they have their own universes. I think what we can do now is come together and really understand that, first, we are all one. And that is the important thing to lead with. If you ever forget that, you will start behaving in the ego. And even when you're fighting, you'll be fighting for a cause that is not connected to um, divine harmony. We want divine harmony. So once you have to lead with that, and also fight back with art. Art is your way of saying, I'm still God. You are not. Before it's like art therapy, like doodles, it's cute. No, it is rebellion. When you create music and you are affecting, because I play the sitar too, if you just hold on to one or two notes and you sit with those two notes, if you know how to sit, you can do anything. People think the hardest thing to do is, like, I don't know, be a rocket scientist and get a PhD, do this, do that, run a marathon. But the hardest thing is actually to sit in complete silence and stillness, because that's when the divine comes in. Once we lead with our knowledge in the fact, in the way we want to see society, we have to build accordingly. And for my women, I think it's important to not fall for the weak look that is being presented to us. You know what I'm talking about. Please go to the gym for your strength training. Please do martial arts and pick it up if you can, because what they teach you in these schools, especially, it's all about mindset. It's about universal energy. We need to be tapped in, and that's what we need to be offering. And the last thing is just, I'm sorry to myself and to everybody else. It is a painful time. It'll be painful for a while, but we must ride this wave because it's begun, and we must be strong enough to lead new systems that get created on the other side. And we do this by working together. And we will fight this by focusing on the heart. And that's not something dinky and pointless. It's the truth.